Hello everyone. Today I'm here with Tim Irwin, the Artistic Director for Heartland Film Festival, and we'll be just interviewing him today. How are you today, Tim?
Doing well, thank you.
So what first got you interested in cinematography?
In cinema in general?
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a wide variety of stories that can be told through film and a wide variety of ways to tell those stories, and it's always interesting to see what people come up with. So, you know, you grow up with films, and for some people that blossoms even deeper and even you know, permeates their life in a different way sometimes.
Mm-hmm. So this is your 7th year at Heartland, right?
Yeah, I've been through 7 film festivals so far, heading into the 8th, our 25th anniversary in 2016.
So what kind of is the process for paring down I think you're projected to have around a little under 2,000 submissions this year. How do you pare that down to just the few, like 100, 150 that gets shown?
Yeah, that's a good question. We had just over 1,750 submissions last year, and we're expecting that to go up for 2016. Mm-hmm. We ended up showing, I think, 149 films at the festival in 2015. It's a long process. So we open up call for entries, which is when we start receiving submissions at the beginning of February. We take submissions all the way through the end of May, early June. And then throughout that whole process, I have about 50 people on volunteer screening committees. I make them watch all the films for us. 3 people watch every film all the way through. After they watch the film, they provide us with an online form that they fill out for each film. And then for the feature-length films, we also have an in-person meeting to discuss the films as well. From there, the films either move to our programming department on staff, or they end up in the no pile, and the filmmaker gets a notification of that at some point. And then my programmers and I end up watching a lot of the films as well. And eventually, I choose a few to send on to the juries. Those are kind of the best films in each category. And the juries choose the top 5, and then a separate jury chooses the grand prize winner in each category. And then I kind of fill out the programming with a wide breadth of films. So you don't want too many films that are the same subject or the same style of film. Right. Give people a nice broad menu to choose from when they come to the festival in October.
Yeah, that's a smart decision. So you said there was around 1,750 something submissions last year. You know, 5 years ago that was around 800 something. Yeah. How do you account for that kind of growth in such a relatively short amount of time?
Sure, yeah, we've seen a huge explosion in the number of films that we get, the number of countries that are submitting to us. I think we had 90 countries represented by films last year. A key thing happened in 2011, so there are a couple factors that play into that. At the end of 2011, after the festival, we got awarded Academy Award qualifying designation from the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. So that means that the winner of our grand prize for Best Narrative Short Film automatically qualifies for the festival as long as they meet the other requirements of them. And there aren't that many festivals, about 45 to 50 in the US, and then another 40 or so worldwide that have that designation. Right. So then filmmakers, when they're looking to submit, they say, hey, I want to get into an Academy Award qualifying festival. Heartland pops up and they know they need to submit to us. So that's one big reason. Also, the independent film community is pretty tight-knit. People know a lot of other people. That's how you make independent films. There's not a lot of money in it, but you know people. You get your friends to shoot it for you, another friend to edit it for you. And the word of mouth around Heartland over the past 25 years has been fantastic. We're such a welcoming city. People love that Hoosier hospitality. We go out of our way to treat the filmmakers really well. We treat them like rock stars throughout the festival. Our audience really interacts with them well. All of those factors combine to give the filmmakers, when they come here, a really great experience. That way, when they leave after the festival, they tell their other filmmaking friends, hey, next year, make sure you submit your film to Heartland. So that word of mouth spreads within that independent filmmaking community, and we get more submissions as a result. Right.
So this is the 25th annual, I believe, this year?
Yes, 25th festival.
How is it that you're marking the occasion for that?
Well, we have a key event that we've added to the festival in October. We're going to open it on Thursday, October 20th, with our opening night event, and that's actually going to be at the Scottish Rite Cathedral downtown in Indianapolis this year, which is a departure. We've had it at the Indianapolis Museum of Art in the past, and really wanted to keep it downtown, and they have a beautiful space there. The next day, Friday, October 21st, we are going to have a special 25th anniversary celebration event at the Biltwell Event Center, which is kind of close to downtown. That's going to be a celebration of our history and a fundraising event as well, and then we'll launch into the rest of the festival from there.
Awesome. So the festival kind of centers itself around this concept of truly moving pictures. What exactly does that phrase mean?
Sure. So we look for films that are entertaining but do more than just entertain. So it has to be a good film to start with, because if it's not a good film, you're not going to engage your audience, and then nobody cares what message you have to say through it. So a good film will get the audience involved, make them care about what's going on, and then we look for films that can do more than just entertain, which means that they can challenge or inspire the audience. They can be thought-provoking. They can shift perspectives on maybe a part of their own life or a part of the world at large. It's not very limiting, though. You know, we have a lot of films that are not all of them are just happy, uplifting films. Some of them really will challenge and maybe disturb you in a good way. Others will be just beautiful artistic films that make you think about existence or whatever.
Right.
So a wide variety of programming is possible through that, but because of that, we don't really have a lot of like straight horror films or violent crime thrillers. You know, we're looking for something that can have a positive impact on people in the end.
Right. So what exactly would be like an example of one of those truly great award-winning films that you've
Sure.
seen?
So last year, the short that won our grand prize for Best Narrative Short was called The Way of Tea from France. And it was a beautifully shot, beautifully set up, very simple story based in Paris about an Arab man who runs a convenience store, and a skinhead boy comes to his store and wants to give him a hard time, and the man just insists that he sit down with him for a cup of tea. And through that, people learn different lessons. It doesn't end super easily, but it's based on a true incident, and it kind of shows you what talking to somebody can do to maybe do away with prejudices or open up your horizons.
Right, okay. So Heartland has a nice niche culturally in Indianapolis. So what do you think is the connection for people in a festival such as this one with films that inspire?
Sure. Our audience it really enjoys the films that we bring, and the key thing about a festival is that it's the only way you can watch a film and have the filmmaker present. With Netflix and Amazon Prime and Hulu these days, it's really easy to sit on your couch at home, watch whatever you want. The difference with the festival and the Heartland Film Festival is that a key group of programmers have curated the films. You know, we're not showing all 1,700 plus submissions. We're showing the best group of those, and in an environment that you normally can't see them on the big screen at a traditional theater, and we're often having the filmmaker there to do Q&A afterwards, so that you can ask them questions about the process of making it,
right,
or what they meant by a particular aspect of the film. And it's that deeper connection that really is a valuable experience for our audience and for our filmmakers as well.
Yeah, no doubt. So last year there was a new category in festival, Indiana Spotlight. What facilitated the creation of a category centered around Hoosier filmmakers?
Yeah, so Indiana doesn't have any state tax incentives. That's a bit of a sore spot. A lot of states around us have incentives. And it's this kind of chicken or the egg problem where there are no incentives, so it's hard to get productions to come to Indiana. There are no productions in Indiana, so it's hard to get anyone interested in providing tax incentives.
Right.
So what we wanted to do was help inspire and encourage Indiana filmmakers by having a cash award for their films specifically. So we started it the year before last in 2014. We just had a brief spotlight of one program of shorts and a shorter feature that were all made in Indiana, and then last year we kind of canonized that as a proper award with a $5,000 cash prize. So the goal is to inspire local filmmakers, hopefully have that discussion about tax incentives, and maybe see more films being made here in Indiana in the future.
Right, exactly. On the flip side of that coin, how is it Heartland can center itself around such a wide outreach of filmmakers around the world? I mean, you said almost 90 countries. That can't all be the Academy Award thing.
Yeah, we have that reputation in the filmmaking community. We have relationships with a lot of filmmakers overseas. We don't usually care what country a film comes from, as long as it tells an important story, maybe one that can open our audience's eyes to what's going on, around the world. And through our jury process, we don't really care where the films come from, as long as they have an important story and are really well made. And being a regional Midwestern festival, I think it's important to have a taste for what's going on, not only outside of our state borders, but outside of our country's borders as well, to give that audience, a little bit of an idea of what's going on in the rest of the world.
Right, keep them grounded, exactly.
Yeah.
So this coming season will be the 7th year of the Heartland High School Film Competition. What advice would you give to aspiring filmmakers trying to, establish a foundation for their future?
The high school film competition is a really important piece of what we do. It's focused on high school filmmakers from around the world. The short films have to be 12 minutes in length or under, so we really want those filmmakers to tell a tight story, a cohesive story. You know, a lot of filmmakers get really excited about the things that they shoot, and then they can't edit anything out, and that doesn't always facilitate the best type of storytelling. And that's really what we're looking for, is a strong story. For the high school category, obviously we judge those films against their peers, so that the technical competencies aren't quite as important. It's really, what is the story? How do they tell that story? So we take submissions from all over the world for that. This year we actually have some exciting changes to the competition. We're going to have 4 finalists that will all compete at the festival. We'll have one narrative short and a documentary short, and then an Indiana narrative and an Indiana documentary to encourage high schools in the area to get involved with this and submit their projects to us. And then each of those finalists will win a $500 cash prize, and then one of the 4 finalists will be named the Summer White Lynch Memorial Grand Prize Award winner at the festival and receive an additional $2,000, so a total prize of $2,500. And I think that's a really great way to tie in that Indiana Spotlight idea that we have for the rest of the festival, but focus it more locally on Indiana films.
Yeah, and that's a good tie-in with the overarching Indiana Spotlight. So this is the last thing I have for you today. What aspects would you say make a film truly great?
A great film has to start with a great story and a great idea. And then once you have that story and that idea, you have to think of the best way to tell it. And the way you tell it comes about through the way it's filmed, the cinematography of the film. If it's a narrative film that has acting in it, you want to make sure you have authentic and credible actors. And the way the dialogue is delivered, if there's dialogue. There's the way that the sound and the music score are incorporated, all to help tell the story in a better way. So keeping it short and tight and telling the story the best way that you can is really what we look for. There are, of course, the technical competencies. It needs to look good. It is an art form, so we want to see some semblance of art in there as well. But nowadays, with the availability of great equipment, you can tell a really great story on a really small budget. It's just, a lot of it does center around that story and how well it's told.
All right. Well, thank you very much for coming with us.
Sure thing.
Hello, this is Owen Smith here today with Coach and Officer Josh Mullins. How are you doing today?
Good, how are you?
Doing good. Now, you're currently a coach at Greenfield, but way before you actually attended Greenfield. Have you always lived here in Greenfield, around town and everything?
Oh yeah, I was born and raised here. I'll be 35 years old, so long 35 years.
So have you enjoyed your experience throughout? Clearly you haven't moved yet, so you've enjoyed your experience here?
Yeah, I mean, Greenfield's, it's a great town. I got kids, so it was a great place to, start a family and keep them here.
Yeah. So you just mentioned you have kids and they're involved with the basketball, as we were talking about before. How much of a responsibility do you think it was on your part of getting them involved, or were they pretty involved from the start?
Well, the deal I've been involved in basketball my whole life. So when they were born, that was just my goal. I was like, hey, we're starting in basketball. I don't care if they're 3 years old. We're going to start on a little hoop, and it's just kind of continued on. They're getting older. I got twins that are 8 and then a 10-year-old. So.
Now, speaking of high school, you attended here, played basketball here. What was your experience as a player here throughout all 4 years? How would you rate your experience, and how was it overall?
Well, I mean, there was always high expectations here. And then at Greenfield basketball, as far as, we were expected to win, no matter, even my freshman year all the way up, even when we were younger, 7th, 8th grade, 6th grade, we always won here. And then, we had the little drought here a little while, but it's getting back. And I mean, it was fun. We knew we were coming in. We had to work hard, and if we wanted to win, you got to put the work in on the court.
So now being a coach and seeing some of these young players, for example, players like Tate Hall are going to take it to the next level. What's some advice that you've been kind of stressing to them a little bit to really stress throughout their high school career, whether maybe even some of the freshmen that you're talking to? What is just some advice you've been giving them since you've been through this?
I mean, I'm just that extra voice here, like I've been there, done that. Coach Engel's been there too. It takes a lot to play at the next level, and Tate's figuring that out. The game is so much quicker and so much more physical than it is here on the high school court. So just kind of, helping them out, banging them around in practice a little bit, try and tough them up a little bit, just little pointers here and there that, that may help them, get an edge on the court.
So did you have a mentor, some inspirations throughout your career as a high schooler?
I mean, one of my parents for sure kept me involved. I had some cousins that, made sure I stuck with it, because there was a point my freshman year where, I was up on JV and I didn't think that, things were going as well as I wanted them to, and I ended up quitting and came back my sophomore year, and, the coach was like, hey, you quit on me last year, you got to prove it again, and my sophomore year, he was like, you should play varsity, but you're not. Yeah. You're going to work back and get it. And, but I had cousins and stuff that were pushing me, hey, don't quit, stay with it, you're going to be fine. It ended up working out at the end.
So do you think that by the coach telling you that, you think that helped you develop more of your skills and develop just into more of a basketball player? Or?
I think so. He put it in there like, hey, you're not playing unless you put the work and effort in and show me that you're going to work hard. And not only are you going to have it physically, but are you going to have it mentally, because there is two sides to it. There's a physical and a mental part of the game. And a lot of players think, hey, it's just physical. No, it's maybe more mental than it is physical. Yeah. If you can get past that, you'll be fine.
So I went through some research and researched your name, and I found that you're top 10 here for assists, and also you were honorable mention for All-State. So did that add some motivation to go on to the next level?
Yeah, I mean, my thing was, I wasn't lazy, but I had the athletic ability, and sometimes I didn't put in as much as I thought, probably should have. And that probably would have helped me get over the hump. I mean, as far as going somewhere better, to a higher level. And that's kind of the thing I put into them, the younger kids, like, if you are here, there's always room for improvement. And, if you're a mid-major college level talent, which that's what I was getting recruited by, mid-major, if you take the next step, you have a possibility to play at a high level, college.
So you ended up playing at IUPUI. What were some factors that helped you make that decision and go on to play at IUPUI?
Well, for one, my family to see me play games, because I went to a junior college before I went there, and that was to help get more exposure, and then also help build my grades back up, and just that it was local. And I had a good rap with Coach Hunter. I don't know if you guys know him. He coached Georgia State with R.J. Hunter. Yeah. I'm pretty sure you've seen all that on ESPN. So, and then over the summer I talked to him, and then I made my decision on that. I mean, I had a lot of other options, but that was the one I chose.
What junior college did you attend?
Lincoln Trail. It's in Robinson, Illinois. It's just it's just across the Indiana border in Illinois, and it's 30 minutes south of Terre Haute. So
when did they start pursuing you to come play basketball for them?
Oh, I mean, that was nonstop my junior, senior year, yeah. Plus the summertime. You get so much stuff, you got to make sure you make the right decision. You got other people, yapping in your ear saying, hey, do this, yeah. When really it's you that needs to make that decision, because ultimately it's you that's going to be there in the long run. So you got to make sure things work out for you.
And how much of an influence would you say coaches and parents are on that decision?
It's crucial. I mean, you don't want to go somewhere where you can't play for a guy, which you don't want to go in with that mindset. You should go in with the mindset, well, I can play for anybody. I'm a coachable person. I'm a coachable kid, And then the parents, the parents, my mom was more, hey, I want you to stay close. Well, that wasn't really my, what I wanted to do, but I ended up staying there. Plus I had a girlfriend that's who I'm married to now, so that played a big factor in that.
Well, it's good that worked out. So how would you compare your experience at IUPUI to your experience here? Did you enjoy it as much or even more? Or?
Yeah, I mean, the best thing about college, obviously you get the places to go, other places and play, but the travel thing that's what's fun about college basketball. Not only do you get to compete against high-level teams, but the travel part, you get to go places you probably never would go. Yeah. If you're just an average person, you wouldn't be able to go there. Yeah. And, it's paid for. You get to go and it's on their dime. So.
Yeah. So did you consider after IUPUI taking your talents to maybe the next level, D-League, or maybe even NBA?
Yeah, I did. I played in the ABA for 2 years with the Kentucky team, and, it was it was new at the time when I came out. Mm-hmm. If I redid it, I would have went overseas. Yeah. You make more money. The other part of that was, that's when the war thing was starting off. That's when we got hit with 9/11. Yeah. So I had all this stuff going in my head. Like, do I want to go over there? I don't, I probably should have. Yeah. I don't know if I'd be here right now. Yeah. Maybe I would, maybe I wouldn't. I don't know. But things have worked out, the way I wanted them to, and here now.
Yeah. And you decided to go on to Greenfield Police Department right after that, or?
No, it was probably 6 years after I came out, or 6 years out of college and then 2 out of playing in the ABA,
Yeah.
I decided just to change and do something different, something to help the community out.
Yep.
Chose to be a police officer.
So, how did you have any family that like was a police officer before you that like helped you?
Yeah, I mean, I have a close cousin that's a Hancock County Sheriff's deputy.
Okay.
And, you know, I kind of picked his brain a little bit, like, you know, how is it, what's it like? Obviously, from when I first got in, I've been on almost 7-8 years to where it is now. It's totally different.
Yeah.
How people look at police officers. I'm sure you guys watch the news and how we're presented and that. But, you know, I mean, I feel like I made a good choice.
Yeah.
I like it. You know, I wouldn't change it.
So when I was doing the research, I researched your name, and I saw the basketball stuff, but I also saw something locally that you were hailed as a hero around Greenfield for a fire that you helped people get out of. Can you kind of explain that experience?
Yeah, it was one of those things where there was a fire, you didn't hear it on the radio, like, yeah, I'll start over there, and you know, it was one of those things, you know, the fire department probably beat me there.
Yeah.
And they didn't. And a matter of fact, they were like, it felt like I was there forever.
Mm-hmm.
Well, look at the house, and it's fully, you know, involved fire, and then there's 2 people in the back. And I was like, you know, you either jump or you're not gonna make it out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that was where it came from. You know, they're the Van Horns. I don't know if you guys know them or not. Pretty good people. Actually, the dad is a fireman over in the west side of Indy, and the kid that jumped down the window was one of the kids that's a cadet here at our fire department trying to get on full time. So,
Well, that's really a great story, and you know, being a person of the community, I really want to thank you for doing that, because that's an awesome thing to have on your resume, and that's, you know, I'm sure that's really helped you keep motivated to stay in the police department a little bit, knowing that you've helped people to that extent. Do you think that has? Or?
yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where I just come and, you know, every day, you know, you think that's the great thing about being a police officer. It's like working with the unknown. You don't ever know what you're going to get into day in and day out. And I think that's what keeps people involved in it, is, you know, wanting to come to work and doing different things, where if you come to your other job, you know what you're doing every day. You know, like if I'm a teacher, I know I got to have a lesson plan.
Yeah.
Got to have it set, you know. Same thing with any other, you know, career. But police officer or fireman, you know, it's like you come to work and it's like you wait on the radio for something to come out and get your adrenaline going. So, but I mean, I guess, you know, it's been a while ago. I mean, that was when I first got on when that happened. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's been about 5 years. I still feel like I come and bring it every day, so
Yeah.
to work.
So now you're the coach. You're an assistant coach for Greenfield-Central. What made you want to become a part of the program once again?
Well, honestly, you know, for maybe the last 4 or 5 years, I wanted to get into it, mainly because my kids, I've seen them, I've started coaching them. And then I was like, you know, I want to start getting into the high school and see what that's about. I coached junior high 1 year, right out of school. It was the seniors that were here last year, Dallas and all them.
Yep.
I coached them in 8th grade. You know, we had a good time. I was like, I want to get into it now. That way, you know, my kids keep coming up. Maybe I'll be able to coach them. I don't know.
Yeah.
And, you know, I know these kids, and they're a great group of kids to coach. It's been fun. We'll see if we can continue it.
Yeah.
But, you know, just being part of the community and giving back to the kids, you know, you're showing them what it takes, you know, what it takes to make the next level.
Do you see yourself pursuing a head coaching job in your future? Or?
No, I don't know. I don't know about that. Maybe if Coach Lewis leaves.
Yeah.
If hopefully he stays here for a long time
Yeah.
to coach my kids, but that would be the only way. I don't see myself. Maybe when I retire from the police department.
Yeah.
But not right now.
All right, well, I want to thank you for joining us
Hey,
today.
thank you.
And I hope you guys have a great rest of your season. I hope you have a great rest of your coaching experience. And yeah, just thank you.
Well, thank you.
Hello, I'm Kyle Willis, and with me today is my grandfather, Denzil Willis. How are you doing?
Good. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It is a nice day out. Sun's finally shining, and we see the grass again.
Right. We'd take a whole bunch of those.
Yes. So, where are you from? Where did you grow up at?
I was born in Newcastle, and I was raised in Shirley, Indiana, which is in Hancock County. Went to school at Wilkinson High School, which is now Eastern Hancock, and went to high school there, and that's pretty much it for schooling.
So you went to Eastern Hancock. What did you want to do when you were my age while in high school?
Well, I think back when I was your age, there wasn't that much different things to do. You had choices of maybe going into the military, maybe working in a factory, or you could go to college if you had good enough grades and financially could go. Those are about the three choices. And I worked on a farm I started when I was about 12, working on a large farm. And by the time I was out of high school, I decided I probably would be better off going into the military and maybe learning some kind of a trade.
So the military sounds what you did. Why did you go that way? It was the simplest?
Well, the economy was not real good, and so I chose that to maybe where I could learn a trade to, go on with a career after I got out of the military. I had brothers and sisters that were in the military, and that kind of helped me lean that way. And, serve your country and just be a good citizen.
So what training did you go through in the military?
Well, you do your basic training, which they teach you just military skills as far as marching, and you learn to follow orders, and the military is very regimented, and you get up at the same time, you go to chow at the same time, you go out and do whatever your daily tasks are at the same time, come in at lunch, and everything's all timely manner. And I think in there I learned to go by the rules and regulations that was set up for me, and how to follow instructions better. So,
what were you in the military? Were you a combat man?
well, I was in it's a field artillery, and it's like cannons.
Oh.
I was a computer in the fire direction, and you would have what was called a forward observer would spot a target, and he was maybe 2 miles ahead of us. Then he would radio back to us, and we would plot out on maps, stick pins and maps and stuff, and we would figure out what the guns how they had to be set to hit the target. And then we would do that, compute that data, call the guns and tell them how to hit the target, and then they would shoot. If they missed, then we would make a correction, and then they'd shoot again, and that's basically what I did.
So you were the eyes of the gunmen?
Well, I was a computer. Yeah,
Oh.
Not a computer like we know today, but they had two tools. One was called a range deflection protractor, and that would you tell how far away the target was from the gun, and then it would also tell you what angle to shoot at, up and down, and you just, after a couple shots, you could pretty well zero in on a target.
So after the military, where did you go from there?
Well, I went to Korea while I was in the military, and that taught me that what I had back here in the United States was so much better, our lives and our opportunities. And when I came back, I got a job working for General Motors in a factory, and in that I got a sheet metal apprenticeship, and I learned a trade, and I done that, worked at General Motors for 37 and a half years, and then I came home, retired, and went to work at the post office.
So you said you got your apprenticeship in metalworking. Where did you go to earn your apprenticeship at?
I lived in Anderson at that time, Anderson, Indiana, and I went to Ivy Tech, what's Ivy Tech now, and back then they called it the vocational school. And through work and school, I had 7,260 hours, I believe it was, to complete the training, and then after that it was all working and applying what I'd learned.
So after you graduated with your apprenticeship, you started working at the post office. What does a mailman do now? What is their job?
Well, I'm a rural mail carrier, and I go in of a morning and I do what's called casing the mail, which is sorting it all out and putting it in slots to where the different people, what their box is. and then after I get it all cased, I load it into my vehicle and go out in the country and drive around and get the mail in the proper box, or try to. Sometimes I make a little mistake, but that's pretty much it. Deliver packages, deliver letters. I have 330 clients, and I probably each day I have about 1,800 to 2,000 letters. I have maybe magazines and catalogs of about 500 to 700, and then you have maybe 50 to 75 packages, and you just pretty much fill my car up, and I'll go out and drive 53 miles and deliver all that mail.
So it sounds like you're already busy. Is it especially busy around the holidays with all of the gifts coming in?
Yeah, it's really bad then. It probably adds, I'd say, at least 30% more time, and the volume's probably 50% more. And mostly packages, but your letters and cards pick up at the same time.
So do you have a funniest moment as a mailman with a delivery or a customer?
Probably the funniest thing that's happened to me, there's a lot of different things happen to other people, but I hadn't been doing it very long, and when you're out delivering, you kind of get zoned in where you're just going along and everything's in a rhythm.
Yeah.
So I drive up to a box and I reach out, pop the lid open, go around and start to put the letters in, and there's a dead raccoon looking at me. So it scared me about as much as it was funny. So, but that was kind of an experience for me. So.
All right. So now that you're a mailman and you came out of retirement to be a mailman, what are you going to do when you finally retire and you're done working?
I'm going to keep on working as long as I can. I told you I went to Wilkinson School, and where our class motto is, when you rest, you rust. And I pretty much believe that. If I just keep on working as long as I'm healthy and I'm able to do the job, physically able. And after that, I'll probably just visit my grandchildren and go fishing and just stuff like that.
All right. Well, thank you for coming today. It's been a joy.
All righty. Thank you.